Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at the strip search scam.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this one.
Have you?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is nuts. So this went on for like a decade.
Wow.
Yeah. A man was impersonating a police officer,
Oh,
calling up fast food restaurants all across the country and
jeez.
convincing the managers to conduct strip searches of their employees.
Oh, my goodness.
It's wild. I know you're thinking,
What am I thinking?
how could anyone fall for this?
Yeah, how is that even possible?
Right. And that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today.
Okay.
It's like how the scam work and the psychology behind it and all the crazy legal battles that came after.
Yeah, the legal side of this is fascinating.
Yeah, so we've got court documents, investigative reports, all that good stuff.
Awesome.
So we're going to start with Laura Fletcher
Okay.
back in 2004.
All right.
She was just 18 years old, model student, working at McDonald's in Mount Washington, Kentucky.
Working hard.
Yeah, just a normal Friday night shift, you know. Suddenly, the manager gets a call from someone claiming to be Officer Scott.
Okay.
And this Officer Scott was a smooth talker.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Calm, authoritative, using all the right police jargon.
Wow.
Even knew the manager's name.
So that makes it seem...
Donna Summers.
Yeah, that makes it seem way more believable.
Instant credibility, right?
Totally.
He claims that a customer's purse has been stolen
Okay.
and that Laura fits the suspect's description.
Oh, geez.
And then he lays down the law.
Okay.
Either Laura consents to a search right there at the restaurant, or she's going down to the police station.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like a false choice. You know, you
Yeah.
think you're picking the easier option. But
Totally.
it's just all manipulation.
Yeah.
So Laura, obviously terrified, she agrees to the search,
Oh, gosh.
wants to cooperate,
Yeah.
starts out innocent enough, empty your pockets. But then Officer Scott starts escalating things,
Right.
asking her to remove her clothing. It went on for almost 3 hours.
No way.
Just turned into this horrific, humiliating ordeal.
Jeez, that's just awful.
It is. It's really disturbing.
But what happened after that?
Well, one of the most interesting things is how Officer Scott starts bringing other people into this whole thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He has Donna Summers, the manager, get her fiance involved,
Okay.
Walter Nix.
Right.
He even gets another assistant manager, Kim Dockery, to participate for a little while.
Jeez. So he's like building a team almost.
Almost like he's trying to create like a support system for his authority, you know?
Like normalizing it almost. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And every time someone would raise a concern or hesitate, Officer Scott always had an explanation ready.
Oh, yeah.
Like further cementing his control over the situation.
Yeah.
And he's preying on their sense of duty, their fear of the police, you know, just their basic trust and authority figures.
Totally.
And here's the thing. This was not an isolated incident.
Oh, no.
Over a decade, this scam had been going on. Oh, wow.
Over 70 documented cases
Jeez.
in 32 states,
Wow.
mostly targeting these fast food restaurants in small towns.
It makes sense in a way.
Yeah. You know, you think small town, everyone knows each other, more trust and authority.
Exactly.
And who knows how many went unreported.
Right. That's probably just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's really disturbing.
Yeah.
So how did this guy get caught? Like, how did things finally change?
I don't know. Must have been tough.
Well, it was a combo of good detective work and a little bit of luck.
Okay.
So we've got Detective Buddy Stump.
Okay.
He picked up Laura Fletcher's case in Mount Washington, Kentucky.
All right.
And this guy, he was determined to solve it.
Good for him.
Wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
And he noticed a pattern.
Okay.
A lot of the calls were made using these prepaid calling cards.
Ah, interesting.
So that was his first big clue.
Okay. So the calling cards were key.
Yeah, so he wasn't working alone, though.
Oh, okay.
There was another detective, Victor Flaherty,
All right.
from Massachusetts.
And he was investigating a similar string of calls
Oh, wow.
near Boston.
Really?
So they realized, hey, we might be dealing with the same guy.
Oh, geez.
So they teamed up.
That's amazing. A real cross-country collaboration.
Yeah. And they traced one of the calling cards back to a Walmart
All right.
in Panama City, Florida.
Wow.
And they had security footage.
Oh, no way.
So they finally could put a face to the voice.
That's crazy. So who was it?
The man in the footage.
Yeah.
They identified him as David Stewart, a prison guard.
A prison guard.
Yeah. And his uniform matched the description of the clothing from the Walmart video.
Wow. Talk about a twist.
Right. You think you're safe because the bad guy is behind bars. Right.
But he is the bad guy.
Exactly. So they brought him in for questioning.
Okay.
And his reaction, oh, it was so suspicious.
Really?
Oh, yeah, nervous, shaky.
Oh, God.
He even asked if anyone had been hurt.
Suspicious.
Right.
Clearly rattled.
So did they have enough to arrest him?
Well, they got a warrant.
Okay. And they searched his home.
Uh-oh.
And what they found was even more incriminating.
Like what?
Guns.
Okay.
Law enforcement magazines.
Yeah.
Even job applications to police departments.
Wow. That's a lot of red flags.
Oh, yeah. And here's the smoking gun.
What's that?
They found another prepaid calling card.
Oh, wow.
And this one was linked to 9 other scam calls.
Jeez.
Across the country.
So they had their man, finally.
Yeah, case closed, right?
Right. I mean, that's it.
Well, not quite.
Oh, really?
It seemed like an open and shut case, but things are about to get very interesting.
Oh, no. What happened?
We'll have to wait for part 2 to find out.
All right. I'm hooked.
Yeah, stay tuned.
I will.
All right, so we left off with David Stewart, the prison guard.
Right. They found all that evidence in his house.
Yeah, guns, calling cards, job applications to police departments.
No, that's right.
But what about the people who actually did those strip searches?
Oh, yeah. Like the manager and her fiance.
Exactly. So Walter Nix, he was charged with sodomy and assault.
Oh, wow.
But he claimed he was just following orders.
Oh, so he was saying he thought Stewart was a real cop.
Yeah, basically saying he was also a victim of the scam.
I see.
Donna Summers, the manager, she was initially suspended and then fired by McDonald's.
Right.
She was charged with unlawful imprisonment. But were they really victims or were they complicit?
Right. That's a tough one.
Yeah, so the legal stuff gets really complicated here.
Okay, so what happened to Nix?
Well, he agreed to a plea deal.
Okay.
1 year in prison in exchange for pleading guilty to lesser charges and apologizing to Laura in court.
Okay, that seems reasonable.
But get this, the judge rejected it.
What? Why?
The judge watched the surveillance footage from that night and was appalled by Nix's behavior.
Oh, wow.
Felt like he went way beyond just following orders.
Yeah, I could see that.
So a new plea deal was reached.
Okay.
Nix pleaded guilty to sexual abuse, sexual misconduct, and unlawful imprisonment. Ended up getting 5 years in prison and had to register as a sex offender.
That's a lot more serious.
Oh, yeah.
And he also had to testify against David Stewart, right?
That was part of the deal.
Okay, what about Summers?
She pleaded guilty to unlawful imprisonment, but got a much lighter sentence.
Oh, really? Like what?
1 year of probation.
Wow, that seems pretty lenient.
Yeah, the prosecution wanted more, but Laura actually advocated for leniency.
Seriously, after everything that happened to her?
Yeah, she believed that Summers was also a victim, you know?
That's amazing. She's so forgiving.
Yeah, it really is incredible.
Okay, so what about David Stewart?
So his trial, it was a huge media circuit.
I bet everyone wanted to see what would happen to him.
The prosecution had a strong case, phone records, the Walmart footage, testimony from Nix and Summers.
Okay.
They painted him as this mastermind, the puppet master.
Right, pulling all the strings.
But Stewart's defense team had a different story.
Oh, what did they say?
Basically argued that the police were under pressure to solve this case and rushed to pin it on Stewart.
Trying to cast doubt on the investigation.
Yeah, they pointed out that no one actually saw Stewart making the calls.
Right.
And the calling card they found wasn't the one used in Laura's case.
Okay.
They even suggested that Laura might have been part of some scheme to get money from McDonald's.
Oh, wow. Really? Trying to blame the victim?
It was a desperate move.
Yeah, that's messed up.
No one bought it.
But it shows how far they were willing to go.
Exactly.
So what happened? What did the jury decide?
After 4 weeks of trial, they reached a verdict. Not guilty. What? So seriously?
Yeah, Stewart walked free.
No way. After all that evidence.
It was a shock.
I bet Laura was devastated.
Oh, yeah, it was a huge blow.
So he just got away with it.
Well, the prosecutor was convinced of Stewart's guilt, pointed out that the call stopped after his arrest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there weren't any more charges.
So no justice for the victims.
Not through the criminal justice system.
Yeah. But Laura's civil lawsuit against McDonald's was a different story.
Oh, yeah. What happened with that?
Her lawyers argued that McDonald's was negligent.
Okay.
They knew about these scams happening, but didn't warn their employees.
Wow. Really? They knew?
Yeah. They had evidence that McDonald's tried to downplay the whole thing.
Gee.
And they didn't do anything to protect their employees.
It sounds like they were putting profits over people.
Exactly.
So what did McDonald's say?
They blamed Summers and Nix.
Oh, come on. Seriously.
Yeah, saying they should have known it was a scam.
That's ridiculous.
And they even suggested that Laura should have been more skeptical.
Wow, they're blaming the victim.
It backfired big time.
I bet.
The jury sided with Laura,
Yeah.
awarded her $6.1 million in damages.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah, it was a landmark decision.
I can see why.
Sent a message to corporations that they can't ignore their responsibility to protect their workers.
Yeah, they can't just sweep it under the rug.
Exactly.
And what about Donna Summers? Did she get anything?
Yeah, the jury awarded her $1.1 million.
Wow, so they recognized that she was a victim too.
Exactly.
So even though the criminal trial failed, the civil trial brought some justice.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how this whole thing started with a prank call.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
And it uncovered all these bigger issues.
Corporate greed, abuse of power, the psychology of obedience.
It makes you think, you know?
Yeah, what would I have done in that situation?
Right, would I have been able to stand up to that authority?
It's a scary thought.
And this is where the psychology gets really interesting.
Yeah, a lot of experts compared this case to those famous experiments about obedience.
Oh, you mean like the Milgram experiment?
Yeah, and the Stanford prison experiment.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see the connection.
They really show how easily people can be manipulated.
Especially by authority figures.
So remind us about those experiments.
Okay, so the Milgram experiment was done in the 60s,
Okay.
and it looked at how willing people are to obey authority, even when they're told to hurt someone.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't it about electric shocks?
Exactly. People thought they were part of a learning experiment,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to deliver shocks to another person whenever they got an answer wrong.
But the other person was an actor.
Right, pretending to be in pain.
Crazy that people actually did it.
I know, right? But most of them kept going, even when they thought they were causing serious pain.
Just because a guy in a lab coat told them to?
Yeah, it's wild.
So how does that relate to the strip search scam?
Well, the scammer was like that guy in the lab coat.
You mean Officer Scott?
Yeah. He was using that authority to manipulate people,
Makes sense.
and people naturally trust authority figures.
Right, so they're more likely to do what they say.
Even if it feels wrong.
Yeah, that's scary.
What about the Stanford prison experiment?
That one was crazy too.
It was supposed to last 2 weeks, but they had to stop it after 6 days.
Really? Why?
It got way out of control.
Oh no.
The guards started abusing the prisoners, both physically and mentally.
Jeez, that's awful.
It showed how quickly people can abuse power, even in a fake situation.
So are you saying that the strip search scammer was consciously using these tactics?
I think it's very possible.
So he knew how to exploit people's psychology.
Yeah, like remember how he gradually escalated his demands?
Right, starting with something small and then getting more and more intense.
Yeah, classic manipulation technique.
And he was good at using praise and commendation to gain people's trust.
Yeah, and playing on their fear of getting in trouble with the law.
So many layers to this case.
It really is a deep dive.
Yeah, it really makes you think, would I have been able to resist that? You know?
It's tough, right?
Especially when you think about, like, these young employees,
Yeah.
they're facing someone they think is a cop.
Hmm.
And in small towns, you know.
Yeah, people might be more likely to trust authority figures,
Exactly. And those restaurants, high turnover, so it's not like everyone's talking to each other about it.
right? They might not even know about the scam.
So the scammer really knew how to pick his targets.
Yeah, he knew where his tactics would work best.
So this could happen to anyone.
It really could.
So how do we protect ourselves? Like, how do we spot these situations?
Well, I think this case is a wake-up call. You know,
Yeah.
we got to be critical of authority
Question everything, yeah.
and trust your gut.
If something feels wrong, it probably is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for more info, you know?
Like verify their ID or something.
Yeah, or get a second opinion.
Uh,
And if someone's pressuring you to do something that feels wrong, you have the right to say no.
that's good advice.
Yeah, it's important.
What about for people who are in charge? Like, what can they learn from this?
Well, it shows that authority comes with responsibility, right?
Yeah.
You got to be aware of the power dynamics and
Mhm.
use your authority for good.
Right.
And you got to create an environment where people feel safe to speak up.
Yeah, so they can challenge authority if they need to.
Exactly.
So much of this comes down to blindly following orders.
Yeah. People not wanting to question someone in charge.
Yeah. It's like the Milgram experiment all over again.
Right. It shows how dangerous unquestioning obedience can be.
Especially when people are trying to exploit that.
Yeah,
This deep dive has been crazy.
it really has.
So many twists and turns.
Yeah, what are the big takeaways here?
I think the biggest one is critical thinking.
Yeah, don't just take things at face value.
Ask questions, look for evidence, don't be afraid to push back.
Exactly.
And if you're in charge,
Mm-hmm.
create a culture of open communication.
Yeah, where people can ask questions and share concerns.
That's so important.
It is.
We also can't forget about the victims.
Yeah, their lives were changed forever.
That trauma stays with you.
It does. It's a testament to their strength that they came forward
Yeah, and that they fought for justice,
and held people accountable.
especially Laura Fletcher.
Yeah, she's incredibly brave.
She is.
And her story shows how important it is to support victims.
Believe them and help them find their voice.
Exactly.
So this case is awful.
Yeah, it's a dark story.
Yeah, but it also shows hope and resilience.
Yeah, justice can prevail.
It might not always come from where you expect,
Right.
but we can make a difference.
By speaking up and supporting each other.
This has been a really thought-provoking deep dive.
It has. We've gone deep into human nature.
Power, obedience, manipulation,
All of it.
and it's all connected.
It really is.
If you want to learn more about the Milgram and Stanford experiments,
Yeah, those are fascinating.
we've got links in the show notes.
Definitely check those out.
So as we wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
we'll leave you with this thought. What can we each do to create a world where authority is used responsibly
Yeah, a world where manipulation is recognized and resisted.
and where victims' voices are heard and believed?
That's the goal.
It's a challenge, but I think we can do it
Me too.
by understanding psychology and the tactics of manipulation
Yeah, and having the courage to speak up.
and to challenge the status quo.
We can make a difference.
So until next time,
Mm-hmm.
stay curious
Stay informed.
and stay empowered.